good, and welcome back to Starting on the Bench. It's a place where normal people can talk about the sports they love. This episode feels a little bit heavier than usual. A lot of things has happened in the world and personal life. Things that we're not really capable of coming back to the norm that has been distinguished with coronavirus, as well as what's happening now in the world. And a lot of people are supporting, a lot of people are still confused and disoriented on what's happening. And as a Ukrainian who experienced 2014 living in Ukraine for a short period of time, I realized that some things are necessary to happen because they are there to progress what's happening in the world, in the country, in your community. So I pray that everyone's staying safe out there. Corona is still alive and active. It's still hunting people, so I hope that everyone is staying safe. Today I want to talk about something that has been going on in my life for the past month, but in reality it's been going on for the past couple of years. I want to be honest with you in this episode, and I want to say that I am not a big runner. In fact, I truly hate running because it's painful. You always sweat a lot after a 5th kilometer or after a 3rd mile. I always sweat so much, and I hate feeling it. I hate the feeling of being exhausted. I hate a feeling of feeling my own sweat on my skin. So I tried to resist running as much as possible, but unfortunately it wasn't possible a week ago. I've been using these apps called GARMIN and Strava, where they measure your distance, your walking, your heart rate, your different sports activities. And one of the things that they do is they actually challenge you to different activities. So for instance, if you're a huge runner, right? If you run, 20, 30, 40 miles a week, and then all of a sudden they're like, get these points or get this badge. That's what they keep on calling. Get this badge. And you'll get points so you can get to another level. So essentially it feels like a game. And this is something that drew me closer to it. So all of a sudden I realized that if I keep on running, if I keep on doing different activities, I can actually earn different badges. And so I decided to take on this challenge that only gives 4 points. Here, I'm going to explain you the points a little bit later because I really want you to really understand. Please stay with me. So the challenge that I took upon myself, upon my shoulders and my poor unathletic knees, is running 100 miles in the span of June. So the whole June, 30 days, you're running 100 miles. So as I'm living in Europe, I'm counting it as kilometers, so 160 kilometers. What I did is I realized that maybe I'm not going to run the whole 30 days. I need a few days off. So I counted up. Okay, if I'm running 5.2 kilometers every day, including weekends, I'm going to take the weekends out as my rest days. 2 days rest per week. So 5 days running. That sums up to 7.3 kilometers, I think. 7.2 or 7.3 kilometers a day from Monday to Friday. Now that's doable. And so I talked to my best friend about it, and he was very excited to see me take on the challenge because, again, I needed a win in 2020. And this is something I've been saying for the past, I feel like for the past week at least, is that I need a win in 2020 because a lot of things has happened and the world needs a win in 2020. It's more of a mental game and psychological behavior that I'm trying to module in order to better myself outside of my room as well as inside of my room. So editing as well as being outside and being physically productive. So I went on and decided to take on the challenge of running, and not being able to run during the COVID-19, during the quarantine, the lockdown, I decided to do a few stretches here and there and some pull-ups and push-ups, and I did a bunch of burpees as well as jumping jacks. So it was I was staying healthy. I was staying fit, but running is a different beast to take on because if you're working out in the room, that's one thing. But if you're going outside and you're finally able to be in the nature running, then your body needs to adjust to it, right? So don't run 16 kilometers. Don't run 10 miles, 16 kilometers right away in your first day. And this is what I did. That's right. I don't feel like I have to get used to it. There's this author of a book, his name is David Giggins. You should check him out. I watched a bunch of his videos and some podcast stuff that he did, and I wouldn't say he's a motivational speaker. He's a guy who shares his personal experience, and it just so happens to be motivational. And as I was listening, he kept on saying that sometimes people feel bad about themselves. Sometimes people feel like they're intentionally bringing themselves down because this is an answer to their problem. So if you're feeling something, if you have mental challenges of motivating yourself, or if you don't feel like you deserve a better life, then all of a sudden you put these restrictions upon yourself, and all of a sudden you're not able to perform at the level you need to at your work, at home, your hobbies as well, if you have hobbies. And then so all of a sudden I realized I really want to run 100 miles, but I know I'm not able to. And so I started putting these mental breaks. I started dislocating myself mentally, knowing that I'm not able to run any kind of miles in the month of June because I just don't feel like it. I feel tired, I don't feel in shape, and it's going to take me a while. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to try it out. Obviously, I'm still capable of running 5 miles, 6 miles a day. It's doable. If not, I can just walk and it will count as running. But then I messaged my friend and he said, what if you do... This is how crazy it is. He said, what if you do 100 miles in 10 days? And that's when I realized that, okay, somebody else has a better view of who I am than I have a better view of myself. And it really crushed me because that should be the opposite. You should be the first person to know your capabilities and know how much you're able to take on the challenge or anything in your life. And all of a sudden, you are putting those restrictions on your body, you're putting those restrictions especially on your mind, knowing that there are chances that you can actually do 100 miles in a month, if so 100 miles in a week. And this is where I understood that stretching and prioritizing your time during the day is probably more important than the run, because running is not that complicated. You have a direction, you know the speed that you're going with, and you set the timer on your watch, which is Garmin. Thank you, Garmin 735 XT. And so I realized that I need to prioritize the time in my life in order to be able to run in the morning and the evening. So I'm gonna break it into two. In the morning I'll run 5 miles, in the evening I'll run 5 miles, and that's gonna help me get from day 1 to day 10 and no problem. So I did the first day 5 and 5, and then the second one I didn't prioritize it in the morning. In the evening I had to do all 10 miles. And it was painful, but I realized that the pain I was feeling on a Monday, it was a lot easier to feel that pain on Tuesday because I've gone through that pain. My body adjusted, my mind adjusted, and I realized that pain is only going to be the temporary. As is another quote that I keep on telling myself is that failing is temporary, but quitting is forever. That mentality is going to hunt you until you 6 feet under. And so I try my best not to follow it, and it's been very challenging in the past 6 months to really keep on motivating yourself. And then all of a sudden you realize that, okay, on Monday, day 1, I'm feeling so terrible. My whole body hurts, my mind hurts. All I want to do is just sleep and relax. And on Tuesday morning you wake up and you know that you have to do the same amount of miles, but in a different pace. You have to do 10 miles all at once. And it's raining outside, so you have to do it on a treadmill. So you realize, you know what, I'm going to still push myself, because if I'm not going to push myself, who else will? Surrounding yourself with a great group of people, that's what I did. Is I surrounded myself with people who are able to motivate me, allow me to see the better version of me before I see it myself. And all of a sudden I went out and did the 10 miles, and it was still painful. But then I'm reminded of this guy, David Giggins, and he says that you running, you deserve that pain. But once you get that pain, you enjoy that pain. So you running and you getting the knees, they hurt, your chest, you feel like your heart is getting out of your chest, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's painful, it's so terrible, like I can't do it no more. And then from day 2, I go in on day 3, and I realize that it's going to be tougher for me on day 3 than it was on day 2, and on day 2 is going to be tougher than day 1. So I realized, you know what, I'm still going to do it, because what else am I able to commit to right now to say that I won in 2020? I won that June. I won that month. And it's tough to commit, because I know that sometimes in our lives we understand that we commit to something that we're not able to fully allow ourselves to see it through because we're not able to see the end result, and so we quit midway because we feel like, you know what, it's going to be harder for me to finish than to start, therefore I'm just going to quit right now. And so day 3 felt like quitting in the middle because I knew that 100 miles is a lot and I'm only in my mile 20. So how am I going to do another 30 miles knowing that it's still going to be more painful? I still have to do 70 more miles before the end of next week. And so I started thinking, you know what? I'm going to still do the 10 miles and see how I feel after that. So as I was finishing up my mile 10, some lady next to me started running as well. As I reminded myself of that situation of when Kobe Bryant started practicing, then somebody, the player, the athlete on the opposite team showed up to practice, and so Kobe decided to keep on practicing until that guy is done. So while Kobe practiced for 2 hours, then the athlete from the opposite team came in and started playing and practicing for 2 hours. So Kobe did 4 hours. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, he was there before I arrived and he was there after I left. And then that's what I decided to do. I was on my mile 10. And I knew that I had to do a little bit more. I thought maybe I'm just going to walk a little bit and jog. Not just run, not walk, but jog. That's all of a sudden. I realized that 10 miles turned into 11 miles. And then 11 miles, and I was dying. I was literally dying. 11 miles turned into 12 miles. And then she hops off and then does something else. Then I realized I'm so close to doing a half marathon on a treadmill. It's been 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours. I'm dying, but I still need to finish it. I knew that 10 miles wasn't going to cut it. I need to do 13 miles. So I finished my half marathon on the 3rd day. While I didn't run for 3 months, and all of a sudden I'm doing 13 miles on my day 3 of running, which was very stupid, but I had to do it. And that's the feeling that I sometimes get in my brain, is that I know it's going to hurt, not from a physical pain that I can overcome, but like something's going to snap and I'm not going to recover for it for a little bit. It's going to take a couple of days, but I know that this was a necessary thing that happened. So I went on, it hurt. I had to then walk to a bus station, which was about 1.5 miles away from me. And so after running a half marathon, I went out to grab a fruit and then started walking to the station. And then day 4, I realized that, you know what, I'm gonna take a day off because my foot hurts and I'm not really sure what's going on. And so on day 5, I ran another 10 miles, but I realized that something's wrong with my foot, and then it has inflammation of a tendon or a tissue rip. And so my right foot was swollen, is still swollen. And so it's been very tough to even walk because every time I step on my right foot, it hurts. Like somebody's sticking a needle into my right foot, like a bunch of needles. And so I realized that, you know what, if I'm able to take Saturday off, I'm going to take a Sunday off because I know that Monday's going to be here and I'm going to do something bad on Monday. So I need to take a little bit of day rest. And you know what? Maybe 100 miles in 10 days, it's not going to be possible. But there are a few other goals that I want to set during that time. And in June, I think I'm going to have other goals that I want to do. So I'm excited that there are things in life that motivate us where we don't expect them to motivate us. There are things that I wish that I did before in my life that I didn't do because I thought that, you know what, I'm going to be tired, I don't feel like it, I'm just going to quit right now because I don't feel like doing it. And especially, it's not a story that I want to tell. And I'm probably going to forget about it and I'll have other chances to do so, to accomplish so. I'll keep on running in other days. But I'm on day 7 right now. My foot hurts still to walk. I keep on massaging, stretching 2-3 times a day, hot and cold baths. And then I know that day 8 comes tomorrow. And I am at my 43 miles right now. And I know that I'm not able to run 60 miles for the next 2 days. So I'm going to do a little bit different. And I'm still going to accomplish 100 miles in June. I'm planning on doing it a little bit differently. But it's a mentality that I'm trying to achieve where I want to set a goal and I want to win that goal no matter what. I know there's June. I know there's 100 miles. But I want to be dedicated to exactly what it is in my life. I want to be dedicated to how I run, to how I exercise, to how I stretch, how I eat, especially because nutrition hasn't been very valued on my side of the family. I know that stretching has been something that I've recently learned about, and it's been a year and a half where I've really got into stretching, into more of using resistant bands and foam rollers. Oh my gosh, foam rollers changed my life. When I was squatting 2-3 times a week, and then I realized that I can do more squats, heavy weight, because of stretching, because of rolling out with a foam roller, medicine ball, and all that, it is so much easier. And so I hope to continue on, and I hope that you're going to stick around for that journey. I know that June is, we're 1/3 done with June, but there's a long time to go to that goal. 60 miles in the next 2 weeks, I think is pretty doable in the next week. I hope that to finish with a full marathon at the end. I'm gonna break it into a week where I will try to run in a way that I can pace myself and I can learn how to run consistently with the same pace and energy, because you can have the same pace but your energy differs, or you can run with the same energy but your pace differs. And so because like the way you run, the longer steps you make, the shorter steps you make, how your hands are moving left and right, how you're breathing and all of that. So I'm excited to see how I will turn out to be by the end of June. Not just physically, because I know it's going to be a great toll on my body, and I definitely need to eat a lot more carbs. If you've seen The Office, you know what I'm talking about. Alfredo's pizza, Alfredo's pasta. If I'm not able to accomplish the 100 miles in June, I think it's just going to take me deeper into a hole which I found myself being in the past couple of months. I realized that 2020 hasn't been what I envisioned, and I understand that things change and things become what they become. But I want a control of who I become in the future. I want to be better than I found myself a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago. I want to be better who I was when I started. That's probably the driving force for me. I want to be better than the person I was when I started this journey. So I hope that things are going to turn out to be better than we found them. It has to be. Things have to be better than we found them. I try to believe in a timeline where things work out for the better of humanity. That we deserve it because we work together as a community, as a group of people. We understand that we need each other to make these things work. So I hope that you're staying safe. I hope you're taking care of your family, your community, your neighbors, because you deserve to get a win in 2020. You deserve to be the winner of this year. Take one day at a time, 1 month at a time. We still have 6 months of this year, and I believe that we can still make a difference in this life, in this world. So stay safe. Make sure that you drink a lot of water, vitamins. Go eat healthy, run, exercise, do something, and make sure that you're staying on top of things. You matter. Your life is too precious to be wasted. I hope that you hear this message. I know it's not a typical starting on the bench podcast, but I hope you hear me out. I hope you hear what I'm saying, and I hope you're staying healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you get your podcast. Follow us on Instagram. All right, Mamba out. Peace.